Okay, so you say Trump is racist. I will give you the facts. Stay tuned. Watch this. Hey, can I ask you a real quick question? Who are you voting for? You can be honest.
What's the other dude's name? I forgot his name.
Biden?
Yeah.
You're voting for the other dude? But you don't even know his name.
I don't know his name.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so you say President Trump is a racist. I'm going to bring you the facts. I'm going to bring a lot of information to you. This is important. Watch it. This is the Rooster. Stay tuned for this. Okay, so I'm going to test your skills right now, or I'm going to hopefully get inside your head. Do you remember a few years ago when it was all over the news, right? I even filled for it, right, without doing further investigation. Remember how King Abdul from Saudi Arabia was going to buy Facebook? Some said that he was going to buy Facebook just to shut it down. Do you remember anything like that? What are some of the other stuff in your past? Oh, I don't know, Santa Claus. You believed Santa Claus at some point in your life, almost all of you, that Santa Claus was real, or the Easter Bunny, or the Tooth Fairy, right? So, let's fast forward to current times. How silly did you feel when you found out that Facebook was not being purchased by Saudi Arabia? Or, going back in time, how silly did you feel when you found out that the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy wasn't real? Anybody? No? Okay. If you didn't feel embarrassed or silly, okay. So let's take it all the way forward to present times. So I'm going to talk Democrats versus Republicans. So right now I'm going to address Democrats, okay? That's what this message is to. So if you were to believe that Republicans, let's go with Fox News, because a lot of Democrats seem to think Fox News lies a lot, right? So I'm going to play along. What exactly does Fox News lie about? Well, let's take it a step further. Let's assume that they do lie. That would mean that human beings are capable of lying, right? We see that all the time. Is it possible that a Democrat could be guilty of the same thing? Is it possible that a Democrat could lie, right? There are more Democrats in the United States than there are Republicans. That doesn't mean that a Democrat is going to win, because there's also what's called independents. There's also what's called Democrats that vote Republican because they don't like their Democratic candidate, right? So there's a lot of varying factors of why someone gets chosen for any number of political office, whether it be, a mayor, city councilman, to, all the way up to the president of the United States. With that being said, have you ever heard the term dirty politics, right? Have you ever heard anybody lying on either side before? Your first response is probably going to be, yes, I have heard. I've heard those Republicans lie. They are horrible people, right? Okay, gotcha, right? You know what boggles my mind? That in today's day and time, we're actually more backwards than we were many, many years ago. I'm going to explain why and how that is, and I'm going to bring facts to the table. A lot of you actually give me a complex, and I'm going to explain. I'm like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. You actually make me more of a genius and smarter than almost every one of you. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I'm going to be egotistical here and say you're all a bunch of morons. Now, is that Christian-like to say? Probably not. Does it mean it's not true? Here you go. Stay tuned for this, because I'm going to spell it all out for you in this next segment. This is going to be a segment that hopefully will blow your mind. It's going to wow you. And I'm going to impress the bejesus out of you to where you're going to become hooked on the Rooster following the Robinson Report. See you soon. Stay tuned for this. Watch this. You're going to love it. Hey everybody, Rooster again. So here's the deal. I'm going to tell you some facts. Everything I tell you, I'm going to ask you to go out on a limb as a brother, as a son of Jesus Christ, right? God's son, your brother, right? Blood, by blood. I mean, I am your family. I'm going to ask you to go out on a limb and please believe me. How can I get you to believe me? Because I'm going to give you proof and facts. I promise I won't let you down. Can we continue? Shall we continue? Here we go. So it's like this, right? How many people today, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat, independent, who you are, how many people today have heard or believe that President Donald Trump is a racist? I've heard it. Now, I'm a little different because you've heard it too, buddy?
Yeah.
All right. State your name and how old are you?
5.
5 years old. You heard that President Trump is a racist?
Yeah.
All right. Rumors getting around. A lot of people are hearing it, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. So here's the deal. I heard it. A lot of people have. And
I did it too.
so if it's said on certain news stations, you believe it to be true, right? What if I could prove to you that the people who are telling you these supposed facts are lying to you, and they're actually lying to you on purpose? So it's called dirty politics, and it's a really, really, really bad thing in marketing. It's done in business, but it's mostly done in politics, right? And if I were you, as a black person, I'd be sick of being used, because if you don't feel like a fool, you are, and you're lying to yourself. I'm going to tell you why. So, you've heard, if I was to ask somebody, hey, who are you voting for? They're going to say, the other guy. Okay, who's the other guy? I don't know his name. It's not Trump, is it? No. Why won't you vote for Trump? Because he's a racist. Is that the only reason? Yeah. Huh. Okay, so if I can prove that he's not a racist, and if I can prove to you that the other guy is a racist, would you then vote for Trump? No. Why? Because, I don't know. Here's the thing. Have you ever once, let's be logic. So if anybody ever gives you any information about anything, I don't care if it's about a car, I don't care if you go to the doctor or the hospital and you need to get work done, understand everybody's motives. Why are they telling you what they're telling you? I went to the doctor not too long ago. Let me rephrase that. I went to the hospital not too long ago. They misdiagnosed me, then called me back in, said it was worse than they thought. I'd never be able to walk in unless I have surgery, blah, 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 blah. Come to find out, the hospitals are low in patients right now because they're looking for more COVID-19 patients. They get an extra, I think I've heard reports of 20 grand, 19 grand. I haven't fact checked that yet. So, but I know they get a lot of extra money for COVID-19 patients. They'll test you every 2 hours, hoping you'll get COVID-19 so they can get that extra coin. They need money. They want money so bad. These average orthopedist makes a little over 500 grand. That doesn't mean some of them do not make over 2 million. So understand that when you consult with a surgeon, they're going to tell you need surgery. I went to a Christian-based hospital, Advent Health. They're telling me I need surgery, I won't be able to walk again. Getting pissed off at me when I want to speak to the surgeon or I want to speak to a doctor and verify this. I just don't want people to tell me, show me the CAT scan, show me the x-ray. Wouldn't let me see any of it, wouldn't feed me. But yet when I have to get all suited up and bathe and all that to go see the surgeon in another building. I see the surgeon and he gives me the answer. There's a 50 chance that surgery can help. There's a 50 chance the surgery couldn't help. There's a 50 chance if you didn't get surgery, it can help. And there's a 50% chance it won't help. So what you're saying, and to top it off, I'll have you come back in 2 or 3 weeks and then you can see if you need surgery at that time, because whether you get surgery now or in 2 or 3 weeks, it's not going to make a difference. So you want to put pins in me, right? Yes, I want to put screws in you. You want to expose me to infection, cut open my foot, do all this stuff, change me permanently for life without knowing if I really need surgery or not. What I read, reading between the lines, is I probably don't need surgery. I prayed to Jesus, and answer hasn't been, my wish hasn't been answered yet, but I'm hoping I don't need surgery. That's what I prayed to him for. So I don't think I'm going to need it. My point to you is there is so much money. If you have insurance, the hospital doesn't want to get rid of you. They're going to find every which way to find something wrong with you to keep you in there to make more money. If you don't have insurance, you're cured within 20 minutes. What are you doing here? Get out. I can't tell you enough to understand people's motives. My father will not. He does not trust in hospitals and doctors. He'll go to the other side of the country to go find a hospital or a doctor that goes against what the state or their hospital board is telling them to do, because the hospital needs to make money. The hospital will find all kinds of ways to rip you off. If you have cancer, instead of getting, a lumpectomy, they might say, hey, get a mastectomy, or, chemo, or this, that, whatever. There's so many other options that hospitals don't tell you because there's no money in it. That's a topic for another discussion. But for this discussion, let's talk about President Donald J. Trump.
No.
Yes. And so have you once ever heard him say anything racist, prejudiced? Just one. I'm waiting. Think about it.
No.
So if you haven't heard him say anything racist, but you're hearing it from somebody else, what gives you, how can you solidly say that he's definitely racist? I'm going to tell you, I have facts and proof that tells you he's not. He dated a black woman for 2 years before he got married. He was adored by the black community, and he adored the black community. The same hypocrites who come down on him now because it's politically incorrect to like President Trump kissed his backside. Dusted off his shoulder, picked lint off his suit. They kissed his backside. They adored him. They praised him. You won't find one derogatory mark about a black person, or about any person for that matter. Not one. Google it. Research it. Find somewhere. Find some picture. You won't find it. Find a recording for that matter. Won't find it. But let's talk about the other guy. I found plenty of material that I have on former Vice President Joe Biden. That's his name, by the way, for those who don't know. Let's see. In the 70s, he kind of boycotted his kids being mixed with colored folk because he was a racist. His father, Mr. Everybody Loves Uncle Joe, father was a used car salesperson. Kind of shady. Not because he's a used car salesperson, because he was kind of shady. And I'll bring some of that up to you as well. On top of that, he was raised in a what? A prejudiced family. And as a result, Uncle Joe, when his kids were little, raised them to be what? Racist? No. Really? Yes! Really? Has Uncle Joe dated a black woman? No, because Uncle Joe wouldn't be caught dead with the likes of a colored folk. Now, why is it that we want to believe that President Trump is racist? It's because it's called dirty politics. You say a rumor, and dummies will believe it to be true because they're dummies. Now, I'm going to retract the whole dummy thing because it's not Christian-like to say things like that, because that's insulting, right? But does it make it any less true? Moving on. So, former First Lady Hillary Clinton, former President Bill Clinton. What did they say? He was the first black president. Were caught on audio putting down black people. Were many testimonies of many people hearing Hillary Clinton say those effing N-words. Is she prejudiced? Let's take it a step further, shall we? President Donald Trump not only isn't prejudiced, not only has he dated a black woman, but he's dated a woman from Europe. He's dated a woman from South America. He's done business and had great relations with Mexico. So when he's being slandered for wanting to put up a wall, for a border between Mexico and the United States, do you know that wasn't his idea? It was a politician, Mexican's idea, who was a Democrat in the late 50s, early mid 60s. It was then followed by many other people, politicians, which include former President Bill Clinton, former First Lady Hillary Clinton. Oh, and it was also former Vice President Joe Biden and former President Obama, who felt that the illegal aliens from Mexico were deplorables and that we need to have better border security and put up a wall. All quoted as saying that. So it was when President Trump, when he was running for president, and he was just a candidate saying, hey, we'll make America great again. By the way, for all those who think it's prejudice, it's not prejudice to say we're going to make America great again. It was a slam against former President Obama and former President Clinton, who were very much for putting up a wall, but didn't do it. He was very much for better border control, which he's doing. So now that he's actually doing the things that they said they were going to do to get elected and then didn't do, they want to slam him for it. Now they're even trying to say, let me take a step back. They were even saying that the economy's not better. President Trump didn't make the economy better. The economy's worse. How long are you going to deny the actual truth when the numbers just don't lie? Only to recently they're saying, well, okay, the economy is better and all the numbers are better and he's done more for the black people, but it wasn't really him. It was because of Obama. Obama's the one who did it. Which you can't have your cake and eat it too. Which way is it? So before you were trying to say that he is the result of a poor economy, you're admitting it's a great economy, but now you're going to go back and say it wasn't him? The guy could literally cure cancer and you would call him the devil for no reason whatsoever. Is President Trump arrogant? Absolutely. So are most of you. Is he a narcissist? Absolutely. So are many of you. Does he kind of like almost lie a lot or exaggerate a lot? I don't want to say lie because I haven't called him an outright lie so much as an exaggeration. A lot? Yes. Is he a pretty bad speaker? Mr. President, I know you think you're a great speaker. I don't share that sentiment. And I don't think most people, including your constituents, think you're a great speaker. However, we'd vote for you again, and we will vote for you because we believe you've done. In fact, we don't believe, Mr. President, we know through real, raw data, not tainted by anybody's lies or rumors, that you've done more for the black community. You've done more for all communities in the United States since former President Abraham Lincoln. And I can't tell you enough about President Abraham Lincoln to say who's done more or less. I'm going to venture to say Abraham Lincoln's done quite a bit. Right? He has, let's be honest. Mr. President, the President of the United States, not one Democrat can find one thing wrong. Watch C-SPAN. Watch the Republicans actually, and I'm going to give Senator Ted Cruz and a lot of these other guys, Gates, and a lot of these other guys, they will bring real facts, testimony to the table, and then the Democrats just try to block it like it's a football game. Let's block it. Let's make them run out of time. Let's block it. I can't believe this witch hunt. You served your country well. Don't you want to know the truth, Democrats? Don't you want to know if the FBI agent is crooked? Which you know he is. This is all about dirty politics, and it's never been about the truth. It's kind of messed up. When are you going to change? It's downright shady. The worst part about it is white Democrats will have secret meetings about how can we use the black community. You're being used. You're being used like slaves again, and you're allowing yourself to be used. Stop it. Grow up. The plantation, grow up. Do you know President Trump is not really a Republican? And most Republicans will say that to you. He's not. He just chose the Republican Party to go against the Democrat. So he could go against Hillary Clinton. So he could go against what Obama stood for. He's kind of a little on the Democratic side, believe it or not. But he shares some conservative Republican views as well. He just had to choose a party. Senator Tim Scott, black Republican. Great man, by the way. Really great man. He didn't know what he was going to be. He walked up to the Democrat booth. I think they kind of laughed him out. Then he walked up to the Republican booth, and Republicans like, hey, we'll take you. So it's not so much that he's a Republican, he's part of the Republican Party because they accepted him. A black man. The Democrat Party, year after year, was always against the black man. The Democrat Party was the Confederate Party, was the slave owner party. The Republicans were the, I don't want to say the activists, they were the outsiders that says, hey, we're going to make change. Most blacks were Republican. But because the Democratic Party wants to spin or change or lie the narrative completely, and I'm going to explain why and how and their motive, they're doing that to get the black vote. They did it before to get more people into housing. They're doing it to allow felons to vote. They're doing it to try to win the black vote. And the next vote that they're going to go for is not the black vote. You're being used and you'll be tossed aside because the next vote they're going to go for is the legal alien vote. For a lot of people who don't know, in California, illegal aliens do vote. Let's talk about voter fraud for a moment. Why are people so oblivious to their past, oblivious to history? Voter fraud has been going on year after year after year. Do you know by who? It wasn't the Republican Party. It was the Democratic Party. Actually, President Obama is actually guilty. He's very guilty of being a part of ACORN. He represented them legally. He was a part of their program when they were guilty of voter fraud. And it wasn't a little bit. If you go to Wikipedia right now, it's going to be like, oh, they're going to try to use sleight of hand. ACORN did a little bit, but so does every, organization. No, ACORN did a lot. Wikipedia is written by people like you and me. So I can say I used to do a lot of articles for Wikipedia, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of them weren't the truth. I know that going into it. I was in marketing, and I did wrong. This is before I found Jesus. So my point to you is this. My point to you is that look, voter fraud was going on before ACORN. They were literally taking people that had died, or they were people who they were going to their homes, and doing, getting people's vote from their house. People weren't going up to a voting booth to register. They didn't ask for ID. And then those people who did vote Republican, they would actually change their vote to Democrat. They took deceased voters, people who were dead, and made them come back to life and vote again. Just sleight of hand. That was a common practice in the Democratic Party for many years. It was actually a common practice in the Democratic Party for over 20 years. It happened before the Obama administration. It happened during the Obama administration. It even happened when back then candidate Donald Trump was running for president. You remember the whole Russia collusion thing? And y'all believed it to be true. Every Democrat was like, guilty. I even thought there was the possibility. So did some Republicans. You know who was behind it all? If you still don't know, it was Hillary Clinton. It was President Obama. Hillary Clinton is actually being brought up on charges for this now. But it was covered up. FBI back then was bought and paid for. Covered up. Guys, if you didn't know, FBI was crooked even back during the JFK days. The whole assassination. Second gunman of the grassy knoll. We all know it. We don't have to try to fake to believe it. We know it to be true. Well, we now know the truth. If you didn't, check the real news. Check the Epic Times. That Hillary Clinton was behind the whole Russia collusion thing. The whole Ukraine thing, that was your Uncle Joe Biden. He's actually on a recording saying that he has Obama in his pocket and that he needs to fire a Ukraine prosecutor for investigating him and his son. His son was getting hush money, payoff money. It was really for President Obama. His son had no experience in the oil business. His son's a junkie. In and out of trouble. Marriages. Horrible. Same with Uncle Joe. So before Uncle Joe is guilty, there's recordings of him. He's guilty, guilty, guilty. Obama is guilty, guilty, guilty. Hillary Clinton was guilty. If you were around during, let's say, what was it? How many years ago was it? 20 years ago? When President Clinton, what was he? The governor of Arkansas, right? Do you know what kind of scandals were going on? You know, what is it? Whitewater was it? Scandals going on with the Clinton family. And it was assumed that there was dead bodies buried everywhere. Literal dead bodies. Not just figuratively. There were so many scandals of President Clinton and Hillary Clinton selling secrets to the Chinese. And then they illegally funded his campaign, which is huge, extreme, illegal. President Trump is not guilty of any of these things. All these witnesses that you say, all the Democrats said that were going to come out, these witnesses about how Trump was guilty of this with Ukraine and all that. If you don't follow politics and you're just following your emotions, well, it all came out to be fake. It's all false. There was no witness. It was all made up. It was all made up. It's supposed to be just a rumor. Then they took it too far. So they had to say there was witnesses. Then they forged emails, changed the emails. It was bad, dude. It's all coming to light now. How embarrassing. Why do you think Hillary Clinton's out of the limelight right now? Being brought up on charges. This is bad. Right? Really bad. Really bad. There's a lot of people being assassinated and killed because of what they know. But it's being covered up. Man, scientist, researcher from the university, was a month away from finding a cure for COVID-19. He was assassinated by a Chinese assassin who killed himself, I don't know if it was exactly a mile down the road, but down the street. Why isn't that talked about in the news? That was covered up and hushed. Because it's not financially profitable to talk about it, because we don't want a cure. We want a pandemic, and I'm going to tell you why. This is the nuts and bolts. This is the juicy stuff I'm about to tell you right now. Always check your source. They teach you this in college. They tell you don't trust Wikipedia, right? If you've been to college, one of the first things they teach you, don't trust Wikipedia. It's made by people like you and me. It's not facts. You're not allowed to utilize any of the sources from Wikipedia. Not one of your sources can be Wikipedia. It's like a college no-no. If you've ever been to college, you know that. Why? What are their motives? So let's look behind the Iron Curtain, shall we? What is CNN's motive? Well, let's dissect CNN. Who owns CNN? Time Warner, AT&T. During a pandemic, during newsworthy stuff, two things happen. More people use the internet, and I own an internet company, I know. These companies made a killing because more people got on the internet, up their internet. Every internet company profited so much from COVID-19. I mean, we all made a killing. More millionaires than you can possibly imagine because of COVID-19. It's ridiculous. So these companies need a Black Lives Matter Antifa movement. They need to spin the tail on the whole George Floyd thing. When I say spin the tail, yes, it was definitely wrong. I've been reporting on police corruption for a long time. Not wanting to defund them, wanting to fund them more for better training. I'm dealing with a case right now where the Orlando Police Department, it's just horrible. They totally ignored a rape victim. Cases getting cold. Evidence is getting stale. It's just disgusting. I could report on it all day long how bad the police departments are. But I don't want to defund them. I want to fund them more. I want them to get better trained. I'll pay them more money, get better training. And it starts at the top, by the way. With that being said, and by the way, there's a lot of politics in police. So, if you want to run for mayor, you want to run for governor, you better get the police on your side. The unions are ridiculous. Another subject. So they profit greatly. But how many people now watch CNN more than ever? How many people watch MSNBC now more than ever, or Fox News now more than ever? Because of COVID-19, because of George Floyd, because of Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the riots, the chaos that's going on, the looting, people being dead. If you go on CNN today, you can't call them news. There's not one. They don't have any news state. I mean, I don't even think Fox News does. I mean, none of them. They don't show news. You can call yourself a reporter, but you're not. You're a commentator. You're not a journalist. None of you are. It's not that I don't like some of you or whatever. It's just I want to call a spade a spade. You're the media, meaning you are the Globe, or I forgot the name of that newspaper many years ago that always talked about alien sightings. It was like a joke newspaper people would get from their grocery store. It's all talk show. They're all pushing an agenda in their views. So we talked about CNN. CNN benefits because when they increase their viewership, they get more money for advertising dollars from companies like myself who pay them tons of money. And everybody gets rich. Every single one of them are a slave to their master, and they have to lie to you. Anderson Cooper has to lie to you. He has to lie to you, 100%. He'll get fired if he tells you the truth. And I'm not gonna, look, it's human nature. It's not in their best interest, and I can't say I'd be any different. I hate to say that. I think I'd be different now because I found Jesus, but dude, money corrupts. It really, really does. If you ever pull Anderson Cooper aside, Anderson Cooper can't afford to get fired. He makes a ton of money. It's worth a lot of money. But he has to push this narrative. He has to, or he won't get paid. People don't do boring anymore. Now let's talk about MSNBC. By the way, before we get off CNN, let me just say they're also heavily have to do whatever big tech. That includes Google and Twitter. YouTube is owned by Google. They have to do what they say. They're partners, and I'll get into that in a moment. I talk about it in another segment too, but so they're kind of a slave to them. Now let's talk about MSNBC. MSNBC, I'm assuming you guys know who they're owned by, Comcast Universal. And MSNBC has to push an agenda. Well, if you remember how NBC started, Bill Gates and others, and they have to push it because guess what? Comcast, big, huge, internet giant, TV giant, right? They made a killing from COVID-19. They made a killing from George Floyd. It's in their best interest for more pandemonium. You guys think 2020 is bad? I'm going to explain what's going to happen. Rest assured, I am a genius, and I'm telling you this is going to happen. There's going to be something else that's going to be needed to come up, because when the numbers start to go down again and people start to stop watching CNN or MSNBC or stop using the internet as much, which is unlikely to happen, they're going to have to, or when they get used to, they're going to have to find another way for revenue. So they're going to have to draw people back to the table. Do you know Netflix used to work on 1.5 megabytes? Now it won't work on less than 25, and people will now have to have 150 or 500 or 1G. It's like you don't realize that they're always going to be wanting more and more money from you. Internet years ago used to cost $20. Now internet is a lot more expensive. They have to. They need to create a demand. They need you to watch their TV. And they need you... I'm in this business, just so everybody knows. This is not conspiracy theory. I'm in the business. I own one of the largest. I'm in this business. So trust me, I benefit. My company is recession-proof. I'm not affected by the recession. I'm not affected by a low economy. If my business does bad, it's because I'm an idiot. And sometimes I am. I have firsthand knowledge of everything I'm telling you. I have facts, numbers, raw data. I don't want to bore you with. Maybe I'll put it on a website so anybody who wants to challenge me can. Come on my show and challenge me. I love it. So anyway, MSNBC needs to have pandemonium. They need ad revenue, so they need chaos. They need it bad. There has to be craziness. Do you think CNN and MSNBC, do you think they really like Al Sharpton? They can't stand him. Can't stand the man. But they need to pander to him. They need to pander to Black Lives Matter. Do you think any of these white people in Hollywood who run their mouths, Robert De Niro, anybody, even though he's in New York, do you think any of these guys, if they could put on a Black Lives Matter shirt all day long. Let Black Lives Matter come and topple their home and ask them for money. Give me my $1 million paycheck. White man, get on your hands and knees. Give me $1 million. Eat to each one. Don't just give away $1 million because you got 60 other million. They're all hypocrites. You know it as well as I do that the white man does not need to bow down to the black man. The black man, and I have proof of this, let's break it down, has more privilege than the white man. I get better choice of college because I'm black. I get better business incentives because I'm black. I get more grants because I'm black. There is businesses that try to get a partner that is black so they can be called a minority-owned businesses. A minority-owned business gets more perks than a non-minority-owned business. There's so many things that black people have as an advantage over the white man. I'm not saying people aren't prejudiced. They darn straight are prejudiced. I grew up in one of the racist prejudiced towns in the United States. I was harassed when I was a kid. I experienced a lot of racism, even in the Army, on both sides. Police, there's plenty of racist police, but it's never held me back from progress. That's their problem, not mine. Someone being prejudiced is their own demon, whether they're white, black, whoever they are. That's their own battleground. It's never held me back. I got over it. And so could you. There's not one thing that someone being prejudiced... Look, I can get a job easier than a white man because I'm black. Despite what you think, companies actually benefit by hiring a certain many black people. Like, we get perks. We play the card. Look, I'm going to go back to the MSNBC thing. Comcast benefits from internet. They benefit from TV. They certainly benefit from MSNBC. Ad money. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry. There has to be pandemonium. If there isn't, they lose. And you're pandering to them, and you're catering to them. Whether you're white or black, stop getting on your darn knees. Go get a job and grow up. Guys, stop playing the victim. Stop being the fool. Stop being lied to. There's not one instance ever since the man was born where he's shown any amount of racism. There's not one instance where he's shown any kind of racism towards anybody. You haven't heard it, neither has anybody else. It's this big myth. It's this huge big myth that just doesn't exist. So with that being said, think for yourself, think better, and look at the facts. President Donald J. Trump has done more for you, no matter who you are, than anybody else. Use your head and think. If you think you're as smart as me, you want to be in my class, then use your head. You can't hold a candle to what's up in here. You can't. Guys, they were looking for every reason to hate on him. They were against him versus China, putting sanctions. You know why every country hates us now? For now? And they want to remove President Trump? It's because for once, we have a president that's looking out for our needs. WHO, we give them too much money. He's looking out for our needs, and they do nothing for us. In fact, they hurt us. I accidentally said in another show, and I apologize to everybody. I was talking about the UN. I meant to say NATO, but nobody called me out on it, so I didn't fix it. We give too much money to different countries and organizations all around the world that don't benefit us, and we're in debt. That was President Trump's whole thing. Like, let's get out of debt first. Let's help. You know, people want to do all this craziness, talk all this jazz. Do they even know anything about Darfur? Check out this Darfur, a region of Sudan, before you run your mouth and say things that you have no idea what you're talking about. Because that right there is craziness that's going on. And it's actually started by China oil, because they want that Sudanese oil. So they started their own little war. Women are getting their breasts chopped off. Babies are being killed, stabbed in the stomach. It's a horrible thing. And you want to complain about a rumor that's not even true? You know how many people I go up to and I ask them, hey, who are you voting for? They have no idea. They don't even know anything. What do you know about President Trump? He's prejudiced. Is he, though? He's done more for us internationally. He's done more for us locally. He's done more for us business. He's trying to bring businesses back to the United States, right? He's that person that supports the USA. Don't tear him down. Turns out anybody can run for Congress. Maybe I should. I'm really good at marketing. I'll probably win. No, it's not my cup of tea. Too many politics, too many BS. I just want to get you to open up your mind. And more importantly, just ask yourself this one question. What would Jesus do? Do you know how many people that tell me, let me rephrase that. Let me change that. You know how many people I see on TV? Black Lives Matter, full of hate. My black Jesus is this. Well, whether Jesus is black, Middle Eastern, whatever he is, I'm not denying that. I used to go on those same rants. But Jesus wouldn't do what you're doing. And you can't deny that. Stop the hatred. Start the love. What would Jesus do? So I want to give props to Kanye West. I wasn't a fan of him before. Loved his music. Wasn't a fan of him before because I thought he was the biggest hypocrite. Jesus walks. I knew it wasn't. He was a hypocrite. He was. I'm really believing in him now. And I'm really pulling for him. And I'm so proud of him. So proud of him. By the way, it's a really great album. Go out and buy it. Don't just download it, buy it. It's a great album. Really good. Whether you're into Christian music or not, it's really good. Chick-fil-A, stop being a hypocrite. Stop turning your back on Salvation Army and bowing down to LQBT, whatever they're called, because that goes against what you're supposed to believe, right? So stop pandering to man and answer to God. Has everybody lost their mind? Does everybody seem to forget Nancy Pelosi 2 months ago? 2 months ago, saying that we need to do more to support our police officers. We need to do more to support our government. We need to do more to support our first responders. We need to make our police officers more. All of a sudden, George Floyd happens, and who? What? She's pandering? What? And then what is everybody else doing, Democrat-wise? Pandering again. It's funny. It's not funny. It is sad that she has no soul of her own. She plays to whatever she can for power. So before George Floyd, it was, we want to support our police officers. We want to fund them more. We want to increase their funding. She actually voted on a bill 2 months ago for more police funding. Now, all of a sudden, defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. We're not talking a long time ago. We're talking 2 months ago. We're talking 3 months ago. We're talking 4 months ago. This is a consistent pattern of wanting to spend more for the police department, to overfund the police department. Now, I'm not criticizing her or telling her she's wrong in any way whatsoever. That's not what this message is about. I'm talking about the hypocrisy of do not follow a woman who sways and sways and sways and sways just to get the black vote. Remember, stop the plantation madness, because when the black vote is no longer needed, or black people wake up and realize that she's a fraud and a liar, she's going after the illegal immigrant vote, which is illegal because illegal immigrants shouldn't vote, but she's somehow going to make it happen. So get your head out of your backside and start opening up your mind and see the truth. I'll spell it out for you. Wake up. Mic dropped. Okay, so this is interesting. Do you remember a few months ago, people like, I don't know, Nancy Pelosi and what's that jack-o'-lantern's name? From CNN, Anderson Cooper. Yeah, complaining, making false and fake news, and every amazing-minded Democrat was like, he waited too long. President Trump waited too long, and this thing got way out of hand because President Trump didn't act quick enough. When President Trump was on Twitter and trying to defend himself, saying, actually, you guys were complaining that I was acting too quickly. I can't stand the whole Democrat versus Republican fight. I can't. And I'm not here to defend the Republicans. But I am here to get on a lot of these Democrats, in fact, almost every one of these Democrats, for preposterous believing. Like, we forget history. We forget a few months ago. So check this out. Check out the timeline. I'm going to go backwards. Today we're saying President Trump didn't act quick enough. He was lackadaisy about the way he handled the COVID-19, right? It got out of hand. It could have been prevented. Well, let's go back a little further. Actually, President Trump was in Democrats' minds back in, February and March. He was acting too quickly, too hastily. He was wrong. He was wrong to cut off the China. And in fact, if you remember, Miss Nancy Pelosi went on the news and in public and promoting gatherings in Chinatown. She was actually promoting everybody. It's okay. She's actually on recording, on camera, saying, it's okay. Go out there. Don't be afraid. He's overreacting. She was saying that President Trump was overreacting. She's on camera telling this, not just one interview, but multiple, trying to make a spectacle out of COVID-19, almost claiming it was a hoax. When President Trump was the one saying, nope, we got to stop this. So, and all the Democratic CNN and MSNBC, they were all on board. They were condemning him for acting too quickly. It doesn't have to be a month later where they're saying, hey, he acted not quick enough. And it's like, come on, guys. This is all, you can search and find all this information. It's on YouTube. As much as YouTube tries to block, anybody who's conservative, as much as Google tries to shut down anybody who's conservative, as much as Facebook silence, and they do a really good job of silencing the conservative party. If you're black and you're conservative, trust me, there's a lot of us out there, they're trying to silence you. Now, for me, it's not so much that I'm a conservative person. It's just that I tend to make a lot of sense. I tend to watch the news. I tend to do my research. I'm a research analyst. I tend to make my decisions based on facts using my brain, not my emotion heart. I do that in my personal life. My personal life is all about emotion. When I want to get upset with my fiance, when I want to get upset with my wife, when I want to get upset with my kids for something that I'm guilty of, for something that I'm wrong. That's personal. Don't make it political. Don't do that. That's of the devil. It's straight up of the devil. I ask you, what would Jesus do? I ask that so much. Leader of the Black Lives Matter. What would Jesus do? You can call Jesus black. Some people call him Middle Eastern. Heck, there's plenty of white people that will call him white. Does it matter what he was? Because it doesn't. I used to call him black because I'm black. And let's face it, the Bible tells of a nappy-haired person with dark skin. But that describes a lot of people that are black or not black. Regardless, I'm not saying he's not black. It's not even where I'm going. Please don't misunderstand. He's more black than he's white. I'm saying it doesn't matter. What does that have to do with being a better person? If you want to be like Jesus, think like Jesus, what would Jesus do, the Son of God? Well, you obviously don't believe in him, so stop lying to yourself and to everybody else, because you wouldn't be acting like a fool, killing, robbing, Lord, like, why are we stealing? And why are we beating up old ladies? Why are we killing our own race? Why is the black man killing the black man? And let's be real. You know, a wise man once told me, actually, he wasn't even a wise man. I used to always complain about the police when I was younger. And I was big on, it's called a Kill Whitey stage. I'll tell you about it another time. But I was always complaining about the police. And I was, saying, hey, the police are always picking on me because I'm black. I mean, I had that mentality. And, they were racist in my mind. And I still believe that to this day. And so he told me, he said, if you're not acting like a fool and you're not looking for trouble, chances are trouble's not going to come to you. And I did some thinking and I thought about it, and he was right. I was wearing a red bandana. I was in a gang. I was the leader of the gang. I was getting arrested. I was driving a motorcycle without a driver's license, speeding, had these, I was like this Billy Badass when I was a kid. I had these, sunglasses with a bandana, and I drove like a chopper-like bike. It was a wannabe chopper. But I did a lot of bad things. I sold drugs. I stole car stereos. I beat up a lot of people. And, I can't blame the police. Whether they're prejudiced or not is irrelevant. I can't blame anybody for me doing bad things, right? If someone steals something from me, and it happens, karma's a B. I deserve it. I do. It's almost like payback. God's been watching. I'm trying to make amends for all the bad stuff I did. And that's why I do these videos, to try to change you as I change me. I want to do God's work. And I want to be like Jesus. I want you to be like Jesus. Obviously, I have some content in my heart and I have some, spirit that really needs to not be there, because even I'm not acting like Jesus. If I was acting like Jesus, I'd be peaceful. And I'd be approaching you in a totally different way. And I'm working on it. And I want to get there one day with your help. Because I have a lot of subscribers and followers who actually coach me. They'll contact me, text me, they'll message me, email me and say, hey, Jerome, your approach could be different. If you're trying to be like Jesus and that's your message, then maybe you should approach it a different way. Or, if you're trying to show a good example of what Jesus is like, then maybe act more like Jesus. I get a lot of great constructive criticism that I'm working on, and I want to be better for you, for me, but more importantly for God. Understand this. What is the motive of anybody who's out there promoting, whether it be Black Lives Matter or Antifa or, the leader of the Democratic Party, the leader of the Republican Party. It's all about power and money. I talked about CNN. I talked about MSNBC. What their motives are, they actually make buku bank for twisting the narrative. They need to create that drama. If they didn't, I can tell you guys, if you look at their ratings, compare them to Fox, I'm not here to make Fox out to be this great, whatever. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has their extremism, right? Sean Hannity, I think he's actually a really smart guy. I think he's become lazy lately. I think he doesn't do his homework, and he could provide a lot better arguments. When he had Mayor Bloomberg on, they both thought they were going to bully each other, and they both really it was back and forth. It was a waste of my time watching them. Two little kids go at it. And I have great respect for Sean Hannity. Just leave room for the potential that you could be wrong. Not to say that you are, but have that mindset. But going away from that for a minute. Fox News does not have the same incentive that MSNBC or CNN has. They don't benefit by people subscribing to more internet. They do benefit from people watching more television. Fox News would probably benefit more if President Trump wasn't the president, because they have something more to bitch about. So just understand their motives. They're not necessarily trying to say, hey, Mr. President is the best, thing since sliced bread. No, they're saying that he's the best option right now. They'd have a better argument if he wasn't the president, so they could have a bigger cause, so more people would watch the news. Well, CNN right now is in a place where ratings are down. They need that additional funding. They need chaos. They need drama. They need pandemonium, however possible. I can promise you, like I said, I'm in this business. They will cease to exist without it. They need total chaos for them to make money. That's what they feed on. Anderson Cooper is I don't know how to say this any other way, but a male whore. He doesn't believe in what he's saying. He's doing it specifically so he can get money or he'll get fired. Anderson Cooper could have easily been hired by Fox News and swayed a different way. Not to say that was his aim or where he was going. I'm telling you right now that CNN and MSNBC found a niche. Their viewership was much less than Fox News, and they had to find a way to engage their audience and increase their viewership. Companies like mine pay them. You have to understand, with almost anything in this world, you always got to look at their motives. How are they benefiting and why? And it's always going to point to money and or power. And both kind of go hand in hand. So please stop the plantation. Nancy Pelosi has contradicted herself every which way. She has been on so many different shows promoting immigration reform, the wall, this, that, the other. Now all of a sudden, she's against it. Months ago, calling COVID-19 a hoax. Now, condemning the president, claiming that he thought it was a hoax. Why is it that we forget 2 months ago? We're not forgetting our history from 40 years ago. We're forgetting our history from 2 months ago. There is so much craziness going on. People could say whatever they want, and you'll still follow, and you still have hatred, and it's based on no facts whatsoever. It's just raw emotion, and it's drummed up by 4 big tech. The 2 biggest guilty parties, Google, which owns YouTube, and Twitter. It needs you to understand that they're fueling your fire. And I'll leave you with this. If you know anything about how terrorists, homegrown terrorists, terrorists of poor countries, how they come about, I don't know if you know that. Well, I've been studying it for years. So I'm going to teach you. And this is fact. This is not like, I'm not making this up. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I based only on fact. So poor countries, poor people, they'll get together, especially in the Middle East. Really good. They're big on family. Not to say that they treat their family well, but they're big on family. You go, one family can go to others. A bunch of families get together. They sit on the floor. They sit at a table. They eat, a lot of times just without silverware. And I'm not knocking it. It's actually, I've traveled all around and I've actually seen a lot of them eat. And heck, I was married to someone who was from Egypt. It's amazing. And I love the way their families are together. Great culture. What happens is when they're out of work, the poor, when they're out of work, they start to they kind of feed off each other. They'll get together and they'll conversate and they'll talk about politics. It's like the number one thing, right? And they talk about, what ifs, right? It's all in our minds, what ifs. And they're poor. A lot of them are jobless or working a crappy job and they want change. And an extremist is born. That extremist, and you could be totally rich. It's not always poor people. Understand, it's not always poor people. It could be a totally rich person that doesn't fit in, that wants to change ideology, or force their ideology or will on others. So it starts to grow and fester. And then other people, like-minded individuals, because this is happening all over the country. Like-minded individuals are getting together. They're getting together, and then all of a sudden you have, it's more than a cult. It's more than a gang. It's a cause, and they're feeding each other, and then they demand or ask or request, and these things get financed, just like Black Lives Matter is being financed, and antifa has been financed for a while, and KKK was financed. So they feed off each other, and the hatred, it's like the bad side of us, right? We're all guilty of it, no matter how innocent or great we think we are. All of us, myself included, are all guilty of the devil's work. We have hatred within us. So I've always equated it like the yin and yang symbol, right? Not to say one color represents one or the other. It's just a balance. You might have more of one in one area, but you'll have more of another in another area. And there's always going to be good versus evil. There's always going to be that balance fighting each other, no matter what. That's never going to go away, unfortunately. I hope it does, but it might take a good few 100,000 years for that to happen. It's definitely not going to be anywhere in my grandkids, my great-grandkids' generation. The change is not going to happen anytime soon, I promise you. We're going to have a lot of V for Vendetta moments before that happens. So then you have somebody who wants to follow the Bible or their own version of the Bible, their Quran, and they're not necessarily twisting the word. Some might say they are. Some might say they're not. I'm even going to say they're not. I mean, even my Christian Bible, right, in the King James Bible, God has had his people do some terroristic type things in the name of religion. So how can I get on, Osama bin Laden for doing what he did when my Bible has done the same thing? So a lot of people disagree and say, no, it's not the same thing, Jerome. And you could be right. It may not be, but it doesn't mean it won't be misunderstood or twisted or, I'm not going to tell you it is or it's not. Put it that way. I'm going to tell you that people are going to view it in the way they want to view it. So what we're happening is we're having the same thing all around the world. So big tech giant Google, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg leading the way, and YouTube and Twitter. What they're doing is they are working your emotion. People are not watching the news as much anymore. They're watching YouTube. I'm watching YouTube. I get more straight stuff from YouTube than I do anywhere. You know, I'm not here to promote YouTube, and there's a lot of other venues to get stuff. But the reality is, it festers your emotion. You might see something that's spinning one angle, and you're going to get emotional about it. Well, Google's the only one capitalizing on that. CNN needs to capitalize on it. So does MSNBC. So they want to spin their own narrative, like the National Enquirer, to get you to what? To bring up your emotions, to get you to continue to watch them. The National Enquirer, if you notice, many years ago, was always thought to be a very crooked, I don't want to call it a newspaper because it was kind of like half newspaper, half magazine. I'll call it an article. And you could find it at every grocery store, and people would read it while they're, checking out. And some people would buy it, some people won't. And it had these crazy stories that you didn't believe, like aliens, a woman would be pregnant with an alien baby, and all this crazy stuff. Well, that is what CNN and MSNBC has become. They've taken that business model because guess what? The National Enquirer, even though everybody was fake, they wanted to believe it. And so they bought it. The National Enquirer has, in latter years become actually more true than almost any newspaper out there. Crazy, right? Whereas CNN and MSNBC have just gone off the rails. And it's like, hey, if you get away with this, what else can they get away with? It reminds me of a story in one of my companies. I wore a 3-piece suit every day, and I became a monster. People were afraid to tell me, hey, Jerome, you're mean, I was a monster. Let me tell you, I would berate people and make them feel this small and not realize it. I just didn't, remember Justin Bieber? There was like those audio tapes that got released from him being interviewed or questioned by the Miami police or something like that. And he was just arrogant, cocky. You wanted to punch him in the face. With the exception of, I wasn't nowhere near as bad, don't get me wrong, but when enough people pander you and tell you, I understood him. I didn't agree with him. I was one of those people who wanted to punch him in the face. But when everybody panders you and your agent and everybody, your entourage are all like, oh no, don't worry about it, because they just want that money. It's all about the Benjamins, right? So they just pandered him. They let him become the monster he became. Well, that's kind of what happened to me. I had an entourage all the time. I got driven around, and I, became that person. I just dated models and dated a lot of hot women, and it was just a very superficial, partied like crazy, spent $1,200 a day on clothes and liquor, and I just became this person that I lived in this, this bubble, and I didn't think I was wrong. And I don't know what made me do this, but every now and then I pull someone aside and said, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you coach me and tell me if I'm overstepping my bounds or if I'm wrong or, what you feel. And they were afraid to do that first. Every now and then someone I pull in my office and they'd coach me and they'd tell me, somebody works for me. It hurt in the beginning. It took a little while. I was, somewhat stubborn. It took a few years, maybe 3 or 4, and I still have a long way to go. But I started to change. I started to humble. I started even changing the way I dressed. And I was trying not to be this uptight, excuse me for saying prick, who drove a Porsche, And I wanted to be better, but it's not easy. So everybody was stroking my ego. And I think, for President Trump, I mean, he's a perfect example of everybody stroked his ego. Everybody. So yes, does he live in his arrogant, obnoxious, narcissistic bubble? Yes, he does. We did that as people. We did that. We created that monster. Doesn't mean he's a bad president. It just means, hey, you don't like his personality? Neither do I. But it doesn't mean he's a bad president. With that being said, we're creating monsters within ourselves because of our addiction to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Heck, the President of the United States obviously is addicted to Twitter because he can't get off the freaking thing. But how much power does Twitter have when he could tell the President of the United States, deuces, you're blocked? Come on, that's some power. That's some balls, if you ask me, right? That you can tell the President of the United States, watch your tongue. Even though you're telling the truth, I'm still gonna you. That's power. Google has that power. Mark Zuckerberg has that power. If you have a conservative voice, Mark Zuckerberg is blocking you. Facebook and Google, they only hire not right wing, but left wing, eccentric people. Every single one of them. I'm not exaggerating. You're not allowed to work there if you're a right wing. You're not allowed to work there if you are a conservative. You're not allowed to. I mean, it's an unwritten rule. It's known. Every single person that works there is a non-conservative. You're not allowed to be. And if you have a conservative view, I don't know if people know this or not, but they will actually dial down your posts. So you can, if you post something that's for Trump, they will dial it down. So not all your viewers get to see it, or it's called censorship. So they will censor you to where they'll either block it completely. I've had plenty of warnings. I don't swear on there. And I've said, it was not even like conservative, and they've censored me. They've blocked me. They've threatened to shut me down. And it's just unfortunate. And here I'm using their platform to try to tell the truth. But anyway, my point to you is that it's creating a monster to where we all want to have this cause and we want to go off the deep end, and we're fueling our emotion. In the morning, how many of you can honestly say that you don't crave YouTube or Facebook? Almost every one of you. I mean, I have a friend of mine who I consider a brother. He's a hardcore Democrat, hates President Trump for no reason. He'll go on to like everything and call it fake news if it's like for Trump. He's just very and there's no logic behind it. Like, you can't have an intelligent conversation with him because he'll just be like, like, okay, have you ever heard him say something racist? At least Black Lives Matter movement, even though it's caca, they'll even say, make America great. They actually have an excuse, even though it's a week. Make America great. They're talking about us black people. They're prejudiced. That's a racist slogan. No, it's not. Not everything is racist. Are you kidding me? What's worse than Black Lives Matter is the white people pandering. Can you not take my Aunt Jemima away? Can we not do that? Because Aunt Jemima, if you know the story, which obviously you don't, it's like we forget her history. She's on there not because of slavery. She's on there because of her breakthrough. She actually broke away from slavery, and she sold a recipe. Like, that's a great thing, not a bad thing. Anyway, let me not get started. We all get crazy. Me included. We all get crazy. We're all a bunch of Sean Hannitys going nuts, right? And there's no logic. It's just total madness. And it's only going to get worse. It's an actual sickness. Years ago, you would actually have to go see a therapist or a counselor of some sort because it was an actual sickness. It's an addiction. The whole world is addicted. And Mark Zuckerberg and Google are the ones cracking the whip. They're the ones fueling it. They're throwing gasoline on the fire. They need pandemonium. They need craziness. It's got more posts. Look, you need to understand, and you should watch my segment on China and Google, how Google actually sells your information to China. It's in China and Russia's best interest that we're going crazy like this. They want us to be like, Democrats, go crazy, set fires to the streets. They want you to hate President Trump because President Trump is actually defending America. They want you to hate, and they're winning. Google gets paid by China. Google gets paid by Russia. This is not me making it up. These are facts. Stop being a puppet. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. What, is that 2 fingers? What? 2 fingers? Oh, you know what that means. I'm out. This is the Rooster. I'm out. Hey. Hey, everybody. It's the Rooster, a.k.a. Jerome Robinson from the Robinson Report. So I want to say, don't mind me. I'm unshaven. It's just because I broke my arm. I can't really shave myself. I broke my arm up by my shoulder, so they can't cast it, they said. The hospital said because it's too high. But I've definitely been cast on my foot. I broke my foot, and I need to have surgery done on it. They say I won't be able to walk for 6 months if I get the surgery. If I don't, I won't be able to walk again. I believe in Jesus. I prayed to Jesus. So I'm hoping that Jesus will do his thing and show that the doctors were wrong. Anyway, I'm asking you if you could possibly, smash that like button. Do me a huge favor, help me spread the word, right? So I do these videos to get people to kind of open up their mind and use their head to expand their knowledge base. And really, I want them to stop the hate. And I'm learning to be a better Christian. And I'm not against what Black Lives Matter movement was supposed to originally represent, but what it's become, along with Antifa and a lot of other people, full of hate and misguided information, and people don't really understand their history. So me as a black man, I want to educate people, right? So please do me a favor, whether you believe in what I believe in, whether you follow, all I want to do is tell you the truth, right? So I know my history. I haven't ignored it. 44 years old. By the time you're watching this, I could be 45. Who knows? But I know. I study. I'm a research analyst, and I study, and I know my stuff. I used to wear a suit. I'm not in a suit right now. Don't mind me. I'm in my Jesus shirt. I don't try to, twist your arm to get you to believe in Jesus. Jesus existed. We know that. There's no disputing it. Whether he was the only Son of God, that's up for interpretation, right? Well, my goal is to get people to stop lying to themselves. Please smash that like button. Hit that like button on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to this and watch, right? And then share me with your friends and family. Share me on your Facebook, right? My videos and text your family. Text your friends. Say, hey, watch this video. It's really, really good. It helps me greatly spread the word. The more subscribers I have and the more hours that people watch my content, the more likely other people will get to see my message, right? Whether you're conservative, whether you're right-wing, left-wing, it doesn't matter. I've got Democratic friends. I've got Republican friends. My mission is to tell you the truth. You haven't found that in news today. You haven't found that in CNN. You haven't found that in MSNBC. Some will even say you haven't found that in Fox News, right? I'll tell you, who funds Fox News and who supports MSN and how MSNBC and how CNN benefits. So I know the history of all this. I know what a lot of people don't know. I am that geek genius that studies and sticks to the facts. I'm like Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. So I don't want to bore you. I'm just asking you to help me open up your mind and open up the minds of others. Be malleable, be open, be willing to change. I learned in Philosophy 101. I went to college 4 times. I went Philosophy 101. I learned my favorite class ever, by the way. Philosophy, if you go into a discussion with somebody, be prepared. This is if you're smart, right? Be prepared to be malleable. Be prepared to be moldable. Be prepared to learn, right? I'll learn from my 5-year-old. I'll learn from my 2-year-old. I'll learn from my
4-year-old
father, who's 80-something years old. He's going to probably kill me now. He's up there. He could be 90. I'm sorry, Dad, if I'm wrong. But I learn from anybody and everybody. I learn from you. How many of my followers or subscribers will hit me up, whether they call me on the phone or text me or email me or send me a message through either Facebook or YouTube and let me know, hey, you were wrong about this, or you should look at this, whatever. People have changed my mind. Trust me, I wasn't always a believer in Jesus. It was only the past few months. I wasn't always a believer in what I believe in now. Both whether it pertains to former President Obama or current President Donald Trump. I didn't vote for Donald Trump, and I was at one point very much against Obama. I'm not anymore, right? I've changed my views. It means that I'm willing to change. I'm willing to learn new things. I'm not stubborn. I encourage you not to be stubborn. I encourage you to be open-minded So if you're gonna, feel free. If you want to come on my show, I encourage you. I'd love to talk to you. Whether you're stubborn, not open-minded or not, come and talk to me. Come on my show and learn something new. Be a part. Preach your message. I would love to have you on there. I'd also love for you to be open-minded, to be willing to learn new things. Hey, Jerome Robinson, aka the Rooster from the Robinson Report. This is my little man right here.
We're out.
One of many. What is it? How do we do?
We're out.
What do we do? We're out.
We're out.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Who are you voting for?
Right.
Because I want to know what the public's...
Public over there.
What's that?
Public.
No, who are you voting for? President?
Vote over there.
Public's over there.
Uh-huh.
That's...
Vote.